In this lesson, I want to explain how to use modal verb properly and how to avoid making the most common mistakes that sometimes we do it. First of all, modal verbs or modal auxiliaries. These are words that express different kind of thing. For example, they might express ability, possibility, permission, obligation, and advice. And it isn't the main verb of the sentence. Okay? There's some example of what modal verb are, like can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, ought to, have to, must. There's three basic rules that we should remember it to avoid the mistakes. First of all, make sure to use the modal verb as is. That means don't change it in the present or past or in the future. For example, we can say he can play. This is a correct sentence. It would be wrong to say he can play. That means we don't need to change that modal verb ever. Second, use the base form of the verb after a modal. Don't use to. I mean that it followed by an infinitive verb. So we should say he might join us, not he might to join us. The next point is, if we need to use the modal in the negative form, then just use not after the modal. We don't use help verb like don't, doesn't, isn't, aren't, wasn't, or won't. So with the most of these modal verbs, just say not. For example, you should not smoke, not you don't should smoke. Okay? The only exception is with the modal have to. There, if you want to make it negative, you need to say you don't have to do this. But with other ones, we just say you can't, you could not, or you may not, you ought not to. Okay? There are some exercise on that. Exercise 1. Correct the errors in the sentence. Number 1. You must to finish your homework. This is a wrong because we don't add to. We just add infinitive after the modal verb. So the right sentence is you must finish your homework. Number 2. I don't can drive. That's wrong. It should be I can't drive. Number 3. You should not to smoke. It's wrong. It should be you should not smoke. So we don't use to. Number 4. We not could call you. It's wrong because not goes after the modal. So the right is we could not call you. Number 5. She will return soon. That's wrong because modal verbs are followed immediately by the simple form of a verb. So the right is she will return soon. Now we will talk about using the modal verbs. Modal verbs are used to express ability, permission, give advice, obligation, talk about possibility, and ask for permission and more. First of all, there are some modal verbs used to explain ability. When someone has the capacity to do something or not. These modals are can or could. For example, David can speak 3 languages. This is in the present. He could speak fluent French when he was 5. This is in the past. Number 2. Permission. The modal verb are can, could, may. For example, could I sit in their chair, please? Number 2. Could I open the window? Number 3. May I borrow your dictionary? Number 3. Advice. The modal verb is should. For example, you should visit your dentist at least twice a year. Number 2. You should try to lose weight. Number 4. Obligation. The modal verbs are must and have to. That means it's necessary to do something. For example, I must memorize all of these rules about tenses. Number 2. You have to take off your shoes before you get in the mosque. Number 5. Possibility. The modal verbs are might, may, could, can. We use it when we are saying that something is possible but not too certain. For example, it looks nice, but it might be very expensive. Number 2. Richard may be coming to see us tomorrow. Number 6. Asking permission. When you want to ask about something formal, we use may. For example, may I ask a question, please? Or may we go home now? Okay. When you want to ask about something informal, we use can. For example, can I borrow your pen for a minute? Number 2, can I speak to John Wilson? When you want to ask about something and you want to sound more polite or softer, you could use would or could. For example, could I please have a glass of beer? Or could I open the window? Or would you mind if I ask you something? You should know that every modal verbs can have more than one meaning. For example, the modal verb can and must. I will explain that. Number 2, the meaning of modal verb can be completely different in different contexts.